Look, I don't know how to start this video, I really don't. I don't know what to think. Jujutsu Kaisen out of absolutely nowhere dropped an entire trailer, a release date, one that's just around the corner mind you, and an advanced screening announcement all at once, and I'm at a loss for words. Let's just go through everything that just happened, make sure to subscribe. It seems like the mandatory milk Jujutsu Kaisen dry phase of this channel is about to start. You don't want to miss out on that, do you? Subscribe. You can also become a member of this channel. Members get at least 2 exclusive videos per month, custom hand-drawn badges and emojis, shoutouts, blah blah blah, something. Go down there and click the join button. Alright, so here's how I'll go about this. I'll talk about a few general things first, I'll then break down the trailer scene by scene, and finally, I'll speculate as to what in the ever-loving is going on behind the scenes, because what in the ever-loving is going on behind the scenes? January? Really, Mr. Mappa? Are you sure? Let's get to it. So, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 is still being led by the same core team by and large, although there has been a couple of significant changes in the staff list, more about them in a second. The show is still being directed by the one and only Mr. Fisheye himself, Shota Goshizono, one of the most creative minds in the industry. Goshizono's direction was one of the best things about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, and that's saying something because there were a lot of best things about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Of course, if you've seen my many videos about the second season, you'd be familiar with the reasons why Goshizono is an incredible director, but for those of you who haven't, you can take my word for it, he really is incredible, one of the best, probably ever. Goshizono is being accompanied by assistant director Yosuke Takada this time around instead of Season 2's Ryota Aike, an interesting switch. I wonder where Aike went. I think I know, but I still wonder. The new assistant director Yosuke Takada across both seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen has proven himself to be a reliable name, so this change shouldn't be detrimental to the project. And speaking of staff changes, the biggest one occurred in the character design department, with Season 2's Sayaka Koiso, who replaced Season 1's Tadashi Hiramatsu, being replaced by Yosuke Yajima and Hiromi Niwa, making this the second character designer change the show has undergone so far. Both Yajima and Niwa are incredible artists, and they were heavily involved with Season 2, and between that and the way the designs looked in the trailer, I can confidently say that we have absolutely nothing to worry about, at least when it comes to the character designs. And that was a general overview of the staff. The rest of the team is more or less the same art director, the same DOP, you get the idea. Let's now break down the trailer scene by scene. First things first though, let me clarify something. You may have heard talk of the trailer being pre-animated, and that's both true and false. True in the sense that these scenes probably were animated for the trailer, and false because that doesn't mean those scenes won't be in the actual anime, they will be. Basically, and this is based on what I've heard in the past, the JJK team animates certain cuts ahead of time just to use them in the trailers. That doesn't mean those cuts are drawn exclusively for the trailers, it just means those cuts are finished before the episodes they are from. At the end of the day, it's just a promotional choice, it's not a big deal. Anyway, back to the trailer, let's start with the designs. They don't look all that different, which is a given considering the fact that both Yajima and Niwa were involved with the show previously, plus the director being the same means that the general approach towards the drawings is still the same. There was a massive shift in drawing philosophies between Seasons 1 and 2 since Season 2 saw a complete stylistic overhaul, but that's not the case here. Yes, Yajima's designs, I'm assuming Yajima is the main designer, his designs are a bit sharper, a bit less rounded, the line art is a bit more pronounced, and the line count is a bit higher, but as a whole, the general look is still the same. Also, JJK is known to switch up his design philosophies depending on who's leading the episode, so it doesn't even matter all that much. Another thing I noticed was how bold the trailer was with its color use. Season 2 used strong accents as well, but Season 3 seemingly isn't afraid to drown scenes out in color, and it executes that look quite well. This opening shot, for example, besides the gorgeous background with the stunning painted reflection, the red tone feels ominous and uncomfortable in the best possible way. Speaking of background, Season 2 at its best featured absurdly high quality art direction, and it looks like Season 3 won't be any different. This shot features a vast composition with layers upon layers of buildings and a beautifully textured sky, and the framing in this shot is cool and layered. I don't want to keep yapping about the backgrounds throughout this entire section, so let me get this out of my system. The art direction is so good. Art director Junichi Higashi is a master of his craft, and the backgrounds throughout the trailer looked stunning. Be it the picturesque establishing shots or the unorthodox compositions that complemented the action, it's so good. Anyway, some subtle creature and effects animation and a nifty light flare added by the photography team brought us to this shot. Almost certainly animated by Hayato Kurosaki, the high energy smoke animation complete with Kurosaki's easily recognizable style looked amazing. The best thing about Goshizono's Jujutsu Kaisen, in my opinion, is the level of composition/storyboards, at least one of the best things. Even if it's not Goshizono himself handling the boards, his sensibilities and philosophies are upheld by the rest of the team. No shot looks boring, there's always something going on, there's always depth, it's never a flat screen. There's complexity and there's purpose behind the complexity. This shot looks absolutely gorgeous, and the main reason why is the line art. The outlines pop, they are uneven but confident, and the breaks in them add so much character to the shot. The way the black outlines are interrupted by those colored stretches that match the light source, it's so good. This style of introducing colored breaks in the line art is something Season 2 did as well, but it looks like they're really leaning into that look this time around. Also love the subtle spot blur bloom effect near the top, it works perfectly with the line art breaks and adds so much depth. The cursors still look the same as expected with thick stylish inky lines, and the outline-less liquid effects here look quite satisfying. These two shots are insanely well animated. Not only are the drawings flawless, there are so many of them. The basic actions of Yuji and Megumi slightly moving their heads have so many frames, and there's not an ounce of melt, every single drawing is consistent. Shots like these are incredibly difficult to pull off, so props to whoever animated and corrected this sequence. A cool composition here with good drawings, although I've never liked red outlines, I think they look a bit jarring. Another meticulously drawn acting cut, just look how amazing the line art looks, it looks good, it's just good. Also, it might be subtle, but the animation itself is extremely high level. Notice how Yuji's shirt being tucked is conveyed through the lines even in the absence of highlights. The artist managed to convey depth around the areas of the shirt stuck between the fingers, masterful work. The next few shots showcase that top-notch composition sensibilities I was talking about earlier. There's always an added layer, if not multiple layers of depth and complexity. Goshizono and his team are allergic to framing shots normally, and I love that. Each frame has so much character. This shot was insanely well animated. You have the 3 different layers of animated effects behind Yuji, the complex low-angle perspective, the heavy volumetric character animation with a ton of weight behind Yuji's movement, and some subtle foreshortening. And if all of that wasn't complicated enough, the structure to Yuji's left is hand animated frame by frame. This shot looks great too, with a well-drawn low-angle Yuji and a couple of 3D buildings to convey an accurate sense of speed and space, and the smeary cables for that added bit of weight. Once again, fantastic drawings. Look how well the lines pop out, and look at the subtle but ever-present movement. This exchange looked quite awkward. The first cut was weirdly framed with low-quality drawings that suggest that this shot wasn't meant to be so zoomed in, which in turn suggests that this shot was unfinished. Also, the flow between the next few cuts is practically absent. The action storyboarding feels amateurish, if that makes sense. 3 different cuts for the same slash, it feels unnatural. I hope this sequence flows better when viewed in its entirety. The next few shots, however, do look quite cool with smooth, flowy movement and strong drawings. This is probably the most impressive sequence from this trailer. The style is about as out there as it gets. The character models completely fall apart, the lines aren't consistent, but that's the point. Style and flow over everything. The energetic action and the wobbly line art complete with these Shinya Ohira-inspired pencil-like lines look insane. This scene was animated either by Rui or by director Goshizono himself. Both have animated similar scenes in the past. Love these shots, again, ambitious color use. This sequence is pretty much black and white, it almost looks like a negative, it's so cool, and more cool creative color work follows, you love to see it. I'm not sure what the kind of background black magic is going on here, but I like it. I think it's 3D. Wonderful perspective work on Yuji's acrobatics as well. It's too short to say for certain, but I think there are 7 different layers of effects here, which is insane. Also, some insanely complex compositions follow. It's really hard to break down these scenes properly since they are obviously heavily trimmed to fit the trailer, but at least the top-notch framing is evident. This final cut looks amazing as well. Large-scale dynamic action, you love to see it. I believe the background here is 3D. Fantastic drawing here, wonderful perspective work, and masterful volumetric line placement. Probably a Takuya Ninuma drawing, or it can be Sota Yamazaki as well. Great stuff. So that's that fantastic trailer, which is to be expected given the metric ton of high-level talent involved with this production. Let's now talk about some other less hopeful topics. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 is being split into individual cores, which I'll be honest is a bit annoying because unlike other 2 core productions out there, Jujutsu Kaisen is narratively exciting enough to pull off a 24 episode format without boring its audience because it's so good at building. Anyway, the reason why they're splitting this season is obviously because they physically cannot finish the entire thing this quickly. If they could, they would. Now, them taking a break in between is obviously more preferable compared to them putting out a broken product that doesn't do justice to the staff behind it, but at the same time, it's not ideal either. I'll explain. As many of you know, Jujutsu Kaisen is produced by the same team/production line as Chainsaw Man, and with that in mind, the 2026 release date sounds a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? The Chainsaw Man movie isn't even out yet. In fact, it recently finished production. How the f did they animate an entire season of a different show already? Well, short answer, and this is speculation, they didn't. Here's the long answer. Based on what I can tell, the team didn't wait for Chainsaw Man to finish before starting with JJK. There was some degree of parallel production involved. This is something I suggested in one of my previous videos: split the production team and work on both shows simultaneously. Of course, that doesn't mean a hard line is being drawn, there still is plenty of staff intermixing, but let me put it this way, I'll be very surprised if I find out Shota Goshizono and the rest of the JJK core team did a lot of work for the CSM movie, and vice versa. So, will this season be fine? Will it go by smoothly, or will it be a repeat of season 2? Well, it's hard to say for certain, but here's what I think. Probably no and no. While I do think season 3 will fare a lot better behind the scenes, and this is further corroborated by credible leaks, I highly doubt it'll be perfect. Let me explain. There are 2 main reasons why I think season 3 will be healthier behind the scenes. 1, the team is handling a TV show and a movie this time around instead of 2 TV shows back to back. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, a TV anime, followed Chainsaw Man Season 1, another TV anime, meaning the staff had to effectively produce 35 high-quality episodes back to back, a Herculean task especially given the lack of time. Movies, on the other hand, by their very nature are less staff-intensive. Think about it, the Chainsaw Man movie is 100 minutes long, while the TV show was 280 minutes long excluding the OPs and EDs. Plus, since Chainsaw Man Season 1, for all intents and purposes, was movie quality, the difference in formats doesn't really matter. Basically, producing those extra 180 minutes requires additional manpower, additional animators, additional directors, etc., and that's not the case this time around. The new Chainsaw Man project being a movie means that a chunk of the Seishimo line was probably free to start working on Jujutsu Kaisen while Chainsaw Man was still in production, giving them a head start, although I'm not sure what the exact arrangement was. The second reason why I think Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 will be healthier is the fact that MAPPA, an extremely brand-conscious studio, got a lot of bad PR from Season 2. Now, most studios wouldn't give a f about what Western fans think of their behind-the-scenes practices, but MAPPA is an exception. The studio, especially as of late, has gone above and beyond to establish its own name as an attraction, and as such, I'm sure the higher-ups would love to avoid any controversy, even if that means they can't push out a project as soon as possible. Now, all of that is well and good, but like I said, I highly doubt this season will be perfect behind the scenes, and the main reason for that is a simple one, that being it still is MAPPA, a studio I can't fully trust. There are more substantial hints, of course, but that's the main reason. I've been let down time and time again by the studio, so it would take a lot for me to start trusting them again. Besides my one-sided beef with the company, the fact that this season has been split into cores is in and of itself an indication of the behind-the-scenes circumstances. Jujutsu Kaisen's production committee is led by Toho Animation, and they don't give a single solitary f about Chainsaw Man. It's not their IP, why should they care? And as such, they won't account for Chainsaw Man's production cycle, meaning it's entirely up to the studio and its management to juggle between the 2 projects. And look, there are a lot of things Studio MAPPA is known for, but efficient management isn't one of them. At the end of the day, it's the final product that will speak the loudest. All of this is speculation. I hope things go well. I'm a huge fan of both Jujutsu Kaisen the story and the team that makes Jujutsu Kaisen the anime, and as such, I hope all of my worries are unnecessary. January 2026 sounds way too quick, but I hope that's just me being paranoid about nothing. That's about it. A special thanks to Note03, Powell, and Amir for becoming Tier 3 members, and until next time.